We may live over 5,000 miles from Lincoln Financial Field, but what we lack in proximity, we make up for in film study. And each and every week, we'll be bringing you in-depth film breakdowns from across the pond and the Sooner State. Welcome to On the Shane page. I'm your host, Shane Half. You can follow me on Twitter at ShaneHalfNFL. And I'm joined by BGN's own film guru, Jonny Page. Give him a follow on Twitter at JohnnyPage9. Jonny, how you doing this evening?
Yeah, in depth, Shane. In depth. We might take that to another level. With just for the listeners, Shane would not talk about offense at all without me. I convinced him to do a little bit this week, but I think the Eagles are broken, Shane. So poor Shane has to do a pass game. I mean, I write about it for BGN every week, so I'm as incredibly annoyed as anyone else. But yeah, you record a specific pass game review every week, and I think he's broken. So we always talk a little bit less about Hurts on this show because you cover it anyway. So yeah, you know what I'm really interested about, Shane, is obviously the guys we connect with are like film guys, and the Discord, already mentioned the Patreon, like 1 minute in, is full of very smart people, and we talk about like very, I would say, like not just like nonsense things that you think of like the general internet. I want to know, is the general like Eagles, and I'm all away in London, so I can't tell this, and you can't tell it either. You're a casual season ticket holder who goes to most home games, who has a great time before the game, sees his mates, goes like, is he enjoying this year? And I mean that like genuinely. Like the Eagles win nearly every week. They're 7-2. They've beat good teams.
Uh-huh.
Their schedule is hard, and they beat good teams. Like the Packers, they didn't play well the last couple of weeks, but they're a good team. If you look at them this year, statistically, they're good. The Vikings are good. The Broncos are good. The Rams are exceptionally good. Big win. Chiefs are good. Bucks are good. Like, they're playing good teams, and they're winning, and it just feels like it's not very fun on offense, this is. I would love to know what the vibe is like around the Eagles bars. Like, you know what I mean? When you go to a game, you get the vibe of, like, the local. I'd love to know what it's like. They may laugh at me and go, are you kidding? We're 7-2. I'm going out drinking all day and then going to watch the Eagles win every week. Like, it's great, which, like, fair enough. The offense just isn't fun to watch. Like, that's the truth, isn't it? It's quite frustrating when, I think Eric posted about they're the most expensive offense in the league. And they're just not very fun. Forget the schematic stuff, just from, like, a down-to-down, like, enjoyment perspective. They are quite boring to watch on offense sometimes. But yeah, except for that, the defense was awesome to watch this week. So I enjoyed that. One new addition in particular was very, very good. But yeah, I would just love to know. Any local Eagles fans at every game, let me know, tweet me. What do you think the vibe's like, genuinely? Do you think people are happy? Based on Sirianni's press conference today, they're not. So I don't know. They're 7-2.
Yeah, I feel like, and again, I don't really know because I run in a different circle, I guess, but I feel like generally people are probably frustrated with the state of the offense, and then that's probably the majority, and then there's probably a large vocal minority that is like, the Eagles are 7-2, you guys are complaining too much. And then those two groups probably fight back and forth a lot, is my guess. That's how I would guess this plays out, but yeah, I honestly don't know.
Yeah, it is tough, isn't it? It is tough. But anyway, yeah, let's do this, I guess. Shall we not break each other in half and start with the defense before we just complain? We're going to not even do the offense properly this week. We're going to complain about the offense. But there is quite a bit to get into on the defense. So let's give the defense they deserve. They don't deserve to be second. They do not deserve to go behind this pathetic excuse of an offense. So where do you want to start on defense this week?
Yeah, it's also, it pains me to do that because offense is the bread and butter. Like,
it's your thing.
I love talking offense, especially pass game, and I'm not as big on like defense. I never enjoy watching defensive film as much because I feel like offensively it's really easy to see like, this is the concept, this is what you're trying to attack, how did the play work as a whole? And defensively, sometimes it's just hard to figure out like what the coverage is and what you're trying to do and whose responsibility is what. And then I feel like I'm just trying to watch 11 individual players and be like, well, this guy did good on this play, but that guy didn't. And it just feels much more disjointed to me. So as much as it pains me, this defense is a lot more fun to watch and talk about right now. So
yeah, do you want to start us off?
Let's do it. Well, I mean, let's just start with the guy that everybody wants to talk about. It's the Eagles' new addition. Let's talk about Jaelan Phillips.
Yeah.
So, spoiler alert, I will be watching. I've watched the entire defense, but I didn't specifically watch it to talk about Jaelan Phillips. I will be doing a player spotlight later this week. Probably recording that tomorrow for Patreon because they voted for Jaelan Phillips. And so in that video, I'll watch him and only him on every snap and just talk about it. So, if you've seen clips of Jaelan Phillips floating around, they may not make it into this montage because, again, I was not. In fact, I was almost like trying not to watch him because I knew I would be watching him specifically later this week. But that said, he made an immediate impact in this game. He ends up with 7 pressures on 36 rushes, which is his most pressures in a game since back in 2022. The team as a whole had a 40.5% pressure rate in this game, which is their 3rd highest mark of the year, despite having a season-low blitz rate. And, he was also impactful in the run game, 6 tackles. And as impactful as he was, he doesn't get a sack, but he created several. And so we'll watch a few plays here. He is on the right side of the screen here, number 50. And on this first play, this was just fantastic run defense in general from the team. And I won't talk about everybody else, but if you watch the middle of this play, just really good run defense happening. And then Jaelan Phillips pursues this from the back edge. And so, you can kind of see Nakobe trigger downhill into the gap and plug this gap, right? And you get Jaelan Phillips pursuing from the backside. We could also mention Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis making an impact on this as they try to, as they push this back basically into the unblocked Jaelan Phillips. So high effort. There was a lot of effort on a lot of plays from Phillips that didn't necessarily go his way, and you like to see that. I would imagine it's very liberating to get traded out of the dumpster fire that is Miami to a Super Bowl contender, and I feel like you could see that in his energy level. So this was, again, he generates pressure here, and he doesn't finish. And that's been a bit of a knock on him, but Jalex Hunt is able to finish. And it all starts with what he does up front, rushing against the right tackle. The right tackle had a really tough day. Zach Tom, Mr.
It was good.
Mr. PFF's good. Right tackle of the year last year over Lane Johnson, notably.
Yeah, just quickly, Shane, I looked this up. He's given up 7 pressures all year, Zach Tom. He gave up 4 in this game. So that's always a good sign for the Eagles pass rush as well.
Yeah, for sure. This play, it's one of the negatives. He's going to get chip blocked, and he actually gets chip blocked to the ground and also kind of takes out Jalen Carter, and it lets Jordan Love scramble out. So Luke Musgrave got him a little bit there, but that was really the only one. This play is one that I wanted to talk about. I thought it was a cool, just in general concept. So the Eagles run cover 1 double rat, which it basically means a rat dropper is somebody that's dropping off the line of scrimmage. And so double rat means that you've got 2 guys. And so Jaelan Phillips and I believe it's Nolan Smith, I can't remember for sure now, they both drop out here. And so you're still rushing 4. It's a cover 1 blitz, and you've kind of got 2 guys dropping out into slant windows. And so you can sort of see Love tries to work to this slant to Romeo Doubs, and Jaelan Phillips is just right in there. And I think it ends up becoming like a 0-yard sack for Nolan Smith there. But I thought that was a cool concept. It's something we've seen Fangio do before, but not a ton. And, you got him dropping off the line there. This is the 4th and 1 play, which obviously the interior just dominates this play. But if you just watch Phillips, just totally destroys the tight end and then makes this play in the backfield. And then we'll go to the last one here. He's going to get pressure off the left edge again against Zach Tom. And he doesn't get a sack again, but he forces Love off of his spot and kind of forces him to throw a really ill-advised pass on the move there. And so overall, I thought it was a fantastic showing from Jaelan Phillips in the first game. And I think that Eagles fans should rightly be really excited about what he means for the pass rush moving forward.
Yeah, oh man, I don't mind spending a little bit of time on Phillips rather than anything else, to be honest, because there was other good stuff that I want to talk about. So you mentioned this, but he dropped into coverage. He played really good run defense. He rushed a QB well, and he had a couple of other reps that were really interesting. So I've got a couple I wanted to show from my own film thread as well, Shane. If you go to play 6, this is a really interesting one because this is a bit of a technique I haven't seen the Eagles use very often of late, and that's probably because Nolan Smith is not been playing and BG retired. But normally what the Eagles are asking their edge to do, if you watch Jihaad Campbell in this kind of play, for example, who's not very good there, I know you'll talk about that, but he, no, that's the wrong play. Damn it. This is just a really good run defense stop. This is not the play I was actually going to show. You can show this play as a great run defense stop. There's actually another run defense stop, which sums up how good he was in this game. The one I was actually going to show was play 10 as a run defender, which is amazing, but that wasn't even one on my list when it's an exceptional play. But this is the one. Normally, oh my goodness, Shane, I'm having an absolute mare. This is a different play that I still wanted to show. I've got too many Jaelan Phillips tweets. Let's talk about this one now, and I'll go back to what I was talking about. So this is the one where he plays as a spy, which I also wanted to show. So where did Jaelan Phillips have a lot of success from the Dolphins this year? It was hanging up over guards. It was in the A gap and the B gap. So the Eagles play him over the B gap here, but he doesn't actually rush. He's as a spy. It's a 3-man rush. And he times this perfectly. Being a spy is really difficult because you can't just stand there. You have to know when to go. Obviously, if you go early or you go late, you look like an idiot. It's almost like a 3/4-man rush, isn't it? But I think, forget the fact this is a good play, Shane. It was his first game after being traded. He played the most snaps of any Eagles edge defender at 53. He rushed the QB really well. He played the run really well. He dropped into coverage well. And he was trusted to be a spy on 3rd down, hanging up over the B gap. How much does Fangio trust this guy? How smart is he? How good is he in the film room? Like, Jesus, I know that it's the same defense, so terminology is the same, but there's no way this Eagles defense is identical to the Fangio defense with Miami. Like, things will be different because players are different, communication's different. I can't believe he trusted him that much. Like, forget how good he was, just the level of faith they showed in him. And the play that I actually wanted to show was play 11.
Are you
Get
sure?
there in the end. I am sure this time. No, wait, yeah, I am. The Eagles normally, if you pause it here, they ask their edge defender to like basically just normally contain. Sometimes they'll ask their edge defender to like jump inside and then they'll like rotate Bourne around him. And then they'll have like Dean or Bourne or Blankenship sort of set the edge. But here they don't. I don't know what you call this technique. I sort of look at it as just go and blow up the guy in front of you technique. Like he just shoves the tight end back and he still gets outside. So he's not only managed to still set the edge, he is containing the edge here. Whether he's meant to be containing it, I'm guessing he's not, because if he is, he's far too aggressive. And it looks to me like Bourne is going to play the edge as well. So I'm guessing Fangio's almost said here, do you know what? You got free reign. Just get upfield quick as you can. Because if you look at Carter, he blows through the guard. And it looks to me like he's just said to them both, like, go. And I think that's really impressive. Like the amount of different things that he did, it wasn't just that he was good, it was how he was used. Adam commenting 89% of the defensive snaps or 80. Yeah, I mean, that's ridiculous. Like for a first game, it was about as promising as I could hope. And if you're on Patreon and you watched me break him down, you guys know I liked him. Like, I really liked him. I said he was Eagles' best pass rusher immediately, on the edge, that is. Even I didn't think this. I didn't think we'd see 53 total snaps, like more than a Jomo, more than Dean, more than Hunt. Obviously, like, I didn't think it'd be that instant. And yeah, he was exceptional. So 8 pressures per PFF, whatever you think of their numbers. Like, very, very good in the run game, very good in the pass game, and even had a good rep in coverage. So, like, you cannot get a better debut from Jaelan Phillips.
Yeah, you just want him to stay healthy, because that's kind of been the thing over the last couple seasons. What has held him back from being an elite player with elite production has been back-to-back season-ending injuries. And so,
he wins in a different way now. That's the cool thing, is that he hasn't got the flexibility anymore. It feels like the injuries may have damaged that, but he's learning to win in different ways, which sometimes that works. Like BG got less athletic as he got older, but he got better. You learn to win in different ways. Just because your body can't do what it once did doesn't mean you can't be effective. Right, we've already gone on long enough on one player, but he was worth it. Do you know who else is worth it, Shane? Is Quinyon Mitchell. So I'm going to talk about 2 things in one here. So I'm going to combine 2 points, which we sometimes like to do if we can make it work. So I want to talk about cover rates, which we don't really see very often from the Eagles, or that often. And then I want to talk about why they did it, and a little bit of Quinyon Mitchell and a little bit of cover rate in general. So the first play I wanted to show was... play 5, which isn't in the exact order that this actually happened in, but I tweeted it out wrong. So if you just pause it for a second here. So I put this on my Discord on Patreon that I think Adoree Jackson's going to start the rest of the year, and people can get mad at me. But seeing as I wasted my time watching Jair Alexander, may as well talk about what they did. So what they did in this game, Shane, was normally you see the Eagles play like cover 6 or quarters against this kind of formation. Today they played cover 8. And now what that means is technically they are flooding the strong side because you've got the half safety on the strong side. But to be honest with you, this is where, Shane, you talk about defense annoying you and how you can't really tell. I didn't even really read it as cover 8. Can I be honest? To me, it was like Quinyon Mitchell shut down one side of the field and everyone else shut down the other side of the field.
That's basically what they do with cover 8, yeah.
Yeah, they don't. That safety behind him never helped him. You can even see pre-snap, he's not even looking at him. You can't do this without Quinyon being that good. It didn't matter if it was Christian Watson. It didn't matter if it was, to be honest, Christian Watson's the only good receiver they have. But whoever it was, they didn't care. They just basically left Quinyon one-on-one constantly. And what that meant was, so I'm combining two things here about cover 8, is what it allowed is it made Adoree Jackson look better. Because Adoree Jackson basically had support from left, right, and centre. He could squat. He could basically have far less to cover. He did make one really nice play on an in-breaking route. So I'm not only going to give Adoree Jackson credit for covering when it was easy. He can't tackle still, but his coverage was better. But it made it so much easier in him. This is, if you play this out now, this is the rep where he goes down the field, Christian Watson, and Quinyon just erases him. But if you just pause it like now, Shane, basically it's like Quinyon Mitchell, you have one side, obviously not the short route, but that's obvious, he's not going to do it all. But look at where the safeties are. Like they're 4-on-2, the other two corners, Nakobe Dean, Adoree Jackson and both safeties, they are 4-on-2. They're basically saying, we will take the 4-on-2, 5-on-2, yeah, if you count, is that ball in the hole as well, because we are leaving Quinyon one-on-one. And you can't run that without Quinyon. The other amazing thing about him this year, Shane, is he can play either side. So whatever the offense wants to do, if they go, all right, we'll put Christian Watson on the other side, we can just move Quinyon Mitchell over. Like, he is top 5 at corner. I don't know how you want to rank him. Satan, him, he's up there with the very, very best. He's had a couple of moments this year. It's not all been perfect at the start of the year. But the Bucs game and this game was like complete lockdown. Like, I've not seen an Eagles cornerback. Darius Slay was good. They didn't use him like this. They didn't use him like a lockdown guy so they can shift every bit of coverage to the other side. He had a couple of other reps that were similar. If you show play 7 as well, Shane. This is like my I'm insulted you're throwing at me. This is the same idea. So what are the Eagles doing? Exactly the same idea. Look at how Blankenship plays this. He gives Quinyon no help whatsoever. It is basically one-on-one Quinyon, your side of the field. Look at that. Someone screenshot that. You can draw it. Look at the coverage on this play. It's like every single person has the other side of the field. You are in a box because you're that good. Is he stressed at all? He's got no safety help over the top? No. Just exceptional. His play on the ball was so good as well. It wasn't just coverage. And then I think the best play of the lot. So I've done a bit on cover 8. Now I'll talk about Quinyon again. Play 9. If you know as a corner, and anyone who plays Madden as well, what's the dream situation? Single high safety, no help in the middle of the field, condensed split, quarterbacks has outside leverage. This is a receiver's dream. All you've got to do is lean into the cornerback, go down and cut inside, and you are wide open because there is nothing there. And as a cornerback, you're basically screwed unless you're Quinyon Mitchell, where you just run the route and make a pass breakup as well. I didn't clip this play, Shane, but there was one pass breakup where the guy dropped it. It was a wonderful throw by Jordan Love. And the reason why Quinyon didn't break it up was because his coverage was so good, he genuinely didn't expect the ball to be thrown. Like, the ball was thrown, and he was like, oh my goodness. He was that good. Like, yeah, it was, as good as Jaelan Phillips was, Quinyon was every bit as good. I always check PFF certain numbers, and I was like going through it, and I saw he only had like a 67 pass coverage grade, and I was just like, what are we doing? Like, is anyone watching it? But anyway, despite the fact their own numbers having giving up 2 receptions off 7 targets for 24 yards, whatever. He was so good in this one. Oh, have you got the play that I'm on about? This is hilarious. Look, this is that I nearly gave up the catch on 3rd down because I'm so good. I genuinely am shocked they throw the ball at me. His press coverage, by the way, is ridiculous. And he nearly gives up the catch because he doesn't actually try. And I'm not like moaning about it. I'm saying it was like he was insulted that you threw at him. It's like, what are you doing? You throwing Romeo like Dowls at me. Like, what's going on?
That's
like,
the
I'm
equivalent.
obviously gonna win.
That's the equivalent of the receiver stopped running his route because he was double covered and the ball wasn't coming his way.
Yeah, except that I wouldn't even say that's laziness. That's more concentration, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there we go. Cover 8, I want to talk about a little bit. And what it'd be interesting to see if they do that moving forward. Because if you trust Quinyon that much, play more cover 8 and just say to Adoree Jackson, we're going to give you all the support in the world. And it's no coincidence that he looked better when he had more support.
Yeah, he was awesome in this game. And just to mention a little bit more on the whole cover 8 thing, the Eagles basically do that intentionally. It essentially just plays out like it's Quinyon one-on-one on the weak side, and everything is pushed the other direction. And, you've got your half-field safety over the top of Adoree Jackson. You've got your other safety keying those crossers. And so Quinyon is totally on an island. And it's worth mentioning, the Packers receiver's not that great, but also Quinyon was fantastic in this game. I pulled some stats of his. He has allowed 5.6 yards per target this season per Next Gen Stats, which is 0.6 yards fewer per target than last season. And it is the 10th least among quarterbacks with at least 25 targets. He's also forced a tight window throw on 43% of his targets, which ranks 3rd in the NFL. So, elite, all-pro caliber cornerback Quinyon Mitchell. He's going to be an Eagle for a long, long time.
Yeah, Brother Clips, a good comment. The next step for him is interceptions. That's the next one. You start getting a few pick sixes, the rest of the league start seeing it, then you're like in top 3 conversations at corner.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen, but I've already got him in top 3 conversations, even if he can't catch. So,
I agree with you. I think he's better this year than like Sauce Gardner, who just went for 2 1s. So there you go.
Oh, yeah. If you told me I could have either one, I'm definitely taking Quinyon.
Yep. Right. Off you get. Your turn. I've done 2.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk about a guy who is not a very good cornerback, not a very good slot cornerback, Zach Bond. This is kind of a joking point a little bit, but it's also just something the Packers were able to do, and it's something that the Eagles are going to need to watch out for. But several times in this game, and the way the Eagles want to play their quarters coverages, there are ways that you can force a linebacker to be one-on-one with a safety. It's something that people moaned about back with Jonathan Gannon. I think you had like the screenshots of Josh Sweat one-on-one with Justin Jefferson out of the slot, things like that. There's certain things that you can do to manipulate those coverages, and there's certain things you can do to counter those manipulations. But a couple different times in this game, the Packers were able to sort of force Bond into being a slot cornerback, and you could tell he wasn't as comfortable in that situation. So on this one, the first one here, the Eagles are going to run a fire zone blitz, which is a 3 deep, 3 underneath coverage. You're rushing 5. And the Packers flipped their passing strength, and it looks like my clip started a little late. Number 16 was lined up at the top of the screen. So you had 2 receivers and a running back to the top, and a tight end and a receiver to the bottom. And so Cooper DeJean is at the top of the screen as your slot cornerback. When the guy motions, when number 16 motions, Cooper DeJean pushes this coverage instead of running with him. And so sometimes you'll do that. You don't want to run across the formation, whatever. Basically, what plays out now is that in this blitz, Nakobe Dean is going to come, and so you end up with Zach Bond as essentially your slot corner, and Reed Blankenship is stepping down into the linebacker role. And they're just not super comfortable in this, and so off of your fire zone rules, Quinyon Mitchell should have the number 1 receiver if he goes deep, and I wanted to say Cooper DeJean. It's not Cooper DeJean. It's Zach Bond should have the number 2 receiver if he goes vertical. And so what's going to happen is you get this switch release vertical. So Quinyon picks that up. Christian Watson is going to sort of run a crosser, and the number 3 receiver just runs the stop route. And so the way this should play out is that Zach Bond should run with Christian Watson, and Reed Blankenship should relate to the number 3 receiver, unless they have some kind of special rule to check into in this situation that they just don't do. But what actually happens is both of these guys go to number 3 and they leave number 2. Now, Cooper DeJean is kind of, you get pressure. Cooper DeJean's kind of picking up this crosser because he has nobody. But theoretically, if this back were to have released, that's Cooper DeJean's responsibility. So they're not letting him go because they say, oh, Cooper's got this. It was a mistake, and Cooper's able to help, sort of close that window. But there's a throw there to be made if the route combination's a little different, if the pressure doesn't get home. And so that was one example of something they did. This is a more classic example of what you can do to force these things. And so the Packers go into 2-by-2, and you say, well, why? There's a tight end on the field, but the tight end is out wide. And so this is your passing strength. That's why your nickel cornerback is over here. But the Eagles are not going to put Quinyon Mitchell lined up as like a slot and put Zach Bond out at the boundary. That's just not how this is going to work. And so what you end up with in your quarters rules is Quinyon Mitchell is responsible for the tight end if he goes vertical, and that leaves Zach Bond responsible for a slot receiver who, if he runs an out route like he does, is basically working against him one-on-one. And so you can watch this play out. The tight end's going to go vertically. Quinyon has to kind of be responsible for him, and he knows, like, look where Quinyon's looking. He kind of knows, but he still can't really do anything about it because he's responsible over the top. And so he rallies and helps tackles, but it's a 3rd and 3. Those are kind of those frustrating plays sometimes where you can attack the flats quickly in quarters and it can be open. So it's a couple different things that the Packers did to kind of attack that. And there's things you can do to sort of read that. You could play like a palms check, a 2-read, where instead of Quinyon looking at the outside guy and taking him if he goes vertical, you could instead do it where he looks at the inside guy. And if the inside guy breaks out, you go get him and you leave the number 1 for the safety to pick up. So there's some different things you can do, and you could get a pick. Like if he's reading this and he just breaks down now because he's not responsible for that tight end, he could run through that and, back to our discussion of Quinyon Mitchell catching footballs. Hypothetically, that could be a pick 6. So there's some things that you can do, but it was something I noticed as I watched the film that the Packers were doing where they would flip their passing strength with motion at the last second and snap it quickly, or they would line that tight end up out wide just to try to manipulate Zach Bond into some uncomfortable situations. So thought it was something worth mentioning and something that I think you might see teams try to do more often.
Yeah, and Packers are good. The Fleur's really good.
Game management notwithstanding.
Yeah, game management notwithstanding. Design-wise, they're good. The Love didn't play well, but I think they had more chances if Love played better. I think the Eagles' pass rush sort of bowed them out a little bit at times. I always think it's one of the downsides of being as good as Zach Bond is sometimes you get put in situations because the coaching staff like, you can handle it. And you're like, so for example, Nakobe Dean doesn't get beat like that. So someone who just looks at stats could say, well, Nakobe Dean in coverage gives up less stats. It's like, yeah, because he's asked to do a completely different thing. So that's why sometimes good players give up receptions, because essentially they have it very, very difficult because of how good they are. They're trusted to do different things. So,
to that point, you can see it right here. The way they typically align is with Zach Bond being your middle defender in quarters and Dean being the quarter flat. And Zach Bond sees what the Packers have done, putting the tight end out wide, and he gets Nakobe's attention and switches spots with him pre-snap.
Yep. That's what happens when you're better. Right, speaking of Nakobe Dean, we spent long enough on a couple of points, so I'll get to my 3rd. I just want to talk about Dean a little bit, really, and it's going to dovetail with your point as well. So you're going to talk about Campbell playing the edge and playing linebacker. So I guess it was almost like join, I guess, in some ways on this point. I didn't want the Eagles to start Nakobe Dean coming back. I wanted them to keep Campbell there because I think he was developing well and he was playing quite well by the end of it. Very well at the start of the year, had a dip. 1st round pick, I want to give him reps. Obviously, Bourne was never coming off the field. I was wrong. Unlike certain people who rank QBs, I'm more than willing to change as the evidence changes. Nakobe Dean's been awesome. He's been better than I thought he'd be coming back from an injury. Think you can make an argument that he's been one of the Eagles' top 3 defensive players since he's returned. Like, I think he's been awesome. And I'll just show one play of something they've missed, which is play 4 of my film thread. I think they've made the right decision, basically, to play him. So, as I said, he was lights out in this game. Downhill, he was quick. And this here, Josh Jacobs, good night. I've gone mad. I'm having an absolute nightmare, Shane. I'm reading the top of my film thread that I had prepared, and it goes, Nakobe Dean, and that's your point. That's Jihaad Campbell edge. I don't want to show Nakobe Dean. I don't want to talk about Campbell. I want to talk about Nakobe Dean blitzing. So it is one of the later plays, which I will now find it desperately. Play 8. There we go. I'm stealing your thunder as well, talking about Campbell. Watch Josh Jacobs just get wrecked here. Zach Vaughan can rush down the middle. Campbell can blitz a little bit. They can't do this. This is like special level of pass rushing up the gut. As a run defender, he is so quick downhill. Just really, really impressive. Hold my hands up. I was wrong. I still don't think he's great in coverage, and I think he had a couple of busts in this game.
He did.
And I think when it's 3rd down, I'd be taking him off. When it's 3rd and 5+, I would take him off without a doubt. In end-of-game situations, I would take him off. I wouldn't bother playing Campbell at edge, and you're going to talk about this in a second. I will just play Campbell. If that means it's only 12 to 20 snaps a game, you play him for 15, whatever snaps a game. But Dean deserves to start. This is not a team on the rebuild. This is not about rebuilding for the future. I think Dean will go in the offseason because I think he's playing so well. The Eagles aren't going to pay a second linebacker when they've just drafted one in the 1st-round pick, and they never play 3 off-ball linebackers at once. So he's going to go, sadly, because the team's going to watch the film that I'm watching and go, he's very, very good. So enjoy it, I think, while you can. Really, really big fan of how Nakobe Dean's played, and I think he's made the team even better, especially from a run defense point of view. I will just say one thing. Campbell had a really good rep. Actually, I might be stealing your thunder. He had a really good rep at off-ball linebacker in this game, where he blew up a block and made a tackle, and it made me wonder a little bit of pressure, seeing what Nakobe Dean's doing. If I'm not doing it, I'm not playing. Mm-hmm. So that's the good thing about being able to watch someone else sometimes do your job. You see how they do it and you're like, well, I need to do that. So you might be about to talk about that now. Anyway.
I am, yes. So let's talk about Jihaad Campbell. And so I agree, Nakobe Dean's been awesome as a run defender. I do think he was responsible for a few different dropped coverages in this game. And the nice thing about a linebacker being responsible for a dropped coverage is it's not a 50-yard touchdown. Sometimes your pass rush gets home and covers it up anyways. But I think unquestionably Jihaad Campbell is better in coverage. I think unquestionably Nakobe Dean is better as a run defender. But I don't think either guy's weakness relative to the other one makes them unplayable. You can play Jihaad Campbell as an off-ball linebacker in run situations. You can play Nakobe Dean as an off-ball linebacker in pass situations. Just to the best of my ability, I would play Nakobe Dean on early /run downs. I would play Jihaad Campbell on late /pass downs and just roll with that. I do not think that putting Jihaad Campbell at edge is the answer. He just can't do it. And maybe he could develop to do that. It's not to say that he couldn't, it's to say he never has. 11% of his snaps at Alabama, he lined up at edge. And so this isn't a guy that was like a cream of the crop edge defender in college. He was an off-ball linebacker. And if you want to develop him as an edge, that's one thing. I just don't think that's the Eagles' long-term plan. Like you said, Nakobe Dean's going to be gone next year.
Yeah, and Campbell's just not on edge.
Yeah.
People said it pre-draft. He's just not.
Yeah.
He's just not.
I think maybe he could develop that, but...
Even his size, Shane. Forget, what was he? He'd be the lightest edge of all time. Even his size.
He's pretty comparable to Nolan Smith.
Yeah, but Nolan Smith's a bit of a freak, isn't he?
Yeah.
He plays he's got something stuck up his wherever every play. He's a bit of a different type of athlete.
Yeah. So, to me...
Yeah, he's light.
You set this year aside and look to next year. Nakobe Dean's going to be gone. I'm almost certain. I am certain. I'm certain he'll be gone. So, do you want to fill that hole at off-ball linebacker with a good off-ball linebacker you spent a first-round pick on because you wanted him to be an off-ball linebacker because you thought Nakobe Dean was gone? Or do you want to have a hole there because you moved Jihaad Campbell to edge where he's not very good right now? I think it's clear long-term you want him to be a linebacker. And if that's true, I would rather you just play him as a linebacker this year and let him to continue to develop, even if it's in a rotation, than trying to force him onto the field as an edge defender, where I think he hurts the defense, and I also think you're hurting his development. And so I've got a few plays here. These are all run defense plays.
Yeah, just quickly, interesting conversation, isn't it? It's hurting his development, not playing him. I'd argue it's hurting his development, playing him in a bad position just as much. I'd rather him be sitting on the sideline watching and learning one position perfectly.
Yes. Yeah,
personally.
I would rather his practice reps be devoted to second-team off-ball linebacker than to second-team edge.
Nothing as an edge you're going to get into. And by the way, forget run defense, pass rusher as well.
Yeah.
It's just there's nothing there. He's not an edge. He's not now anyway.
It's just,
maybe I'll be completely wrong, but I feel pretty confident post draft, and I feel very confident now. And I'm pretty sure Fangio thinks exactly the same.
When we're talking edge, he's not a starting edge. So we're talking second-team linebacker or second-team edge rusher. Presumably, you're getting fairly equal reps in practice. Just practice the position you're going to play him in the future. So here's a play with him on the edge. He's going against the right tackle in the run game. Actually, he's going to get crack blocked, if I remember correctly, by the receiver on this one because it's a toss out wide. But just watch how much of a non-factor he is on this play. Like, he's so slow to recognize it, just totally kind of pushed out by the receiver. Now, next play, he's in at off-ball linebacker. And watch him step down into the gap. Now, he doesn't, first of all, he doesn't get a clean run-through. Nolan Smith, a lot of times Nolan Smith gets these clean run-throughs. He doesn't get that. The center comes off quickly to him, but he makes the center do that, right? And so him making the center do that means the D tackle has a one-on-one. It's filling this hole. It forces the cutback, and you've got a defensive tackle and a filling safety there. He did his job. It doesn't look awesome, but he did his job. And now we've got him on the edge against the Packers tight end 3. And just watch this play. It's so annoying. The Packers take forever to snap the ball. Now, he gets held a little bit there at the end, but I tweeted this clip and people were like, he did his job. He has contain. Contain's job is not to get pushed backwards and then just held out there by a backup tight end. If he's got contain, we want to be setting contain here, not way up here off screen. If you are off screen on the end zone view of an All-22, you're not really setting the edge. And so, it's a bad rep, but I don't blame him. I tweeted that clip and that one kind of blew up and people were like, yeah, okay, Shane hates Campbell. No, I love Campbell. I want him to play the position he's good at.
Why do you hate Campbell, Shane?
And then here he is at off-ball linebacker again. This time he's going to trigger downhill and he's going to deconstruct the center's block and shed and make a tackle. So these are things he was not doing from off-ball linebacker early in the season. And so he has grown. I just want them to keep him at off-ball linebacker, continue to let him grow. Even if you're taking him off the field for Dean and run situations, that's fine. I think it benefits the team to not have him at edge right now, and I think it benefits him too. So I just really don't want to see him play. And it's different, where they have him at off-ball linebacker and you walk him down to the edge to set up a blitz or something like that. That's different.
Yeah,
what they're doing is rolling him out in their 3 defensive tackle package as a straight-up edge. That's what I don't like.
Yep, I agree. We always go very specifics, but in general, just a ridiculously good defensive performance against a very, very tough offense. Shall we now talk about, very briefly, because Shane doesn't want to do anything on this.
Wait, I gotta mention one more guy.
So, go.
Moro Ojimo.
Oh, star.
0 tackles, 0 assists in this game. It is probably the most impactful blank stat sheet you'll ever see because he had some truly awesome reps in run defense. He had a couple really good pass rushes, and of course everybody's seen now he's the one calling out that 4th and 1 play, but
yeah,
Moro Ojomo was incredible in this game, and he ended up with 0 stats to show for it, but he was awesome.
I reckon if you wrote for BGM when they drafted him and went mad about how good he was and said he should have been a day 2 pick, you'd probably mention it a lot online. So if you know who that is, please let me know.
Was that Steven Ruiz?
Yeah, it must have been. He was too busy ranking probably Trevor Lawrence top 10 after his great comeback this week to giving up God knows how many points without doing anything against the Texans.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. This Monday night, witness the end of an era. John Cena takes center stage for his final appearance ever on Monday Night Raw. One last match, one unforgettable farewell. Come celebrate the legacy of a true WWE legend. Monday Night Raw, November 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, only on Netflix. Be there for the moment everyone will be talking about.